Yes? No. No, I'm just asking if you all want you on it. I mean, I'm okay, but if you want.
I would prefer if we can have it just lightly on.
Lights on.
Lightly on one
I want to do some more.
This one makes sense, that one is better.
This one only.
Well,
Prabhu, can we try that switch there?
Yes, the left one.
Yeah.
no, yeah.
Yeah, just on the little. Yeah. How you want?
Okay,
Okay.
let's commit chapter 2, Divinity and Divine Service. Text 1. व्यास उवाच इति सम्प्रश्न संहृष्टो विप्राणां रोमहर्षणि प्रतिपूज्य वचस्तेषां प्रवक्तुम् उपचक्रमे. Ugrashrava, Sutta Goswami, the son of Romaharshan, being fully satisfied with the perfect questions of the Brahmanas, thanked them and thus attempted to reply. The sages of Navashanya, Sutta Goswami, 6 questions, and so he is answering them one by one. So first of all, he is glorifying his spiritual master Shukdev Goswami. Okay, so in the first 5 verses, Sutta offers his respects to Shukadev and Vyasa and appreciates the sage's inquiries. So that's the first 5 verses. Second verse. Sutta uvacha yam pravrajantam anupetam apeta krityam dvaipayana viratara ajuhava putreti tarmayataya tarvobhinedus tam sarvabhutarayam munim anatosmi. Sri Sutta Goswami said, "Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto that great sage Shukadeva Goswami, who can enter the hearts of all. When he went away to take up the renounced rod of life sannyas, leaving home without undergoing reformation by the sacred thread or the ceremonies observed in the higher caste, his father Vyasdev, fearing separation from him, cried out, 'O my son!' Indeed, only the trees which were absorbed in the same feelings of separation echoed in response to the bereaved father." Srila Prabhupada especially focuses on the word anupetam and apeta krityam. So he focuses on these words, which essentially means that Shukadeva Goswami didn't undergo any reformatory ceremonies. As soon as he was born, he left home. And Srila Prabhupada explains about the various reformatory ceremonies, the various sanskaras, who is a Dvija and a Brahmana, Vipra, Vaishnava. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining all that. Now going into so Prabhupada writes in the 3rd paragraph, almost in the middle, Sri Shukadeva Goswami was born a Vaishnava and therefore Brahmanism was included in him. He did not have to undergo any ceremonies. Okay, so he was already completely Brahman realized, and therefore he did not have to undergo any of the ceremonies, because what is the purpose of all these ceremonies?
Rise us to the platform of goodness.
Okay, that's right. A little more specific.
To understand Lord.
Okay, to understand Lord. One word.
Vishnu.
What's the purpose of all the sanskaras?
Vasudeva.
Purification.
Purification.
Yes, the purpose of all the sanskaras is basically purification. Now, Shukadeva Goswami was already purified. He was on the liberated platform. There's no need of further purification by the sanskaras. And therefore, he did not have to perform any of them. And then Prabhupada says, any Lovan person, Kirat, Munandra, Pulinda, Pulka, Shashumba, all these people can be delivered to the highest transcendental position by the mercy of Vaishnavas. Okay, so by the mercy of Vaishnavas, anyone can rise to the platform of a Vaishnava by the appropriate procedure called as Diksha. And in that context, in the Nectar of Devotion, Rupa Goswami gives an example, an analogy. What was that? Anyone can become a Vaishnava by the proper procedure.
Alchemistry, that thing.
Yes. So what is that?
The gold can, very bell metal in coming in contact with something becomes
Mercury.
gold. Mercury.
Yes. So bell metal in contact with mercury becomes gold. So some mixture, mercury, copper, some other elements are there, and then gold can be produced. So why nobody is producing gold these days? Nobody knows the process.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everyone would have been so interested to prepare gold, but nobody knows. Prabhupada says in a lecture. So all the science is lost now. But anyways, that example Rupa Goswami is giving because anyone who follows that process can make gold. Similarly, anyone who follows the process can become a Vaishnava. That is the point. Okay, so now coming to the verse proper, and we'll read this. This is a very nice commentary of Vishwanath Thakur. Somebody read this, please.
Shukadev was departed, leaving everything to Avranj town. Though he was nearby, Vyasa could not catch him, Anupetam. He had not received his sacred thread, Apeta Kritya. Vyasa called out the protracted words. Our son, that not only his mother had great affection for him, but not one says, Dinarshito Aristena, Tarpitani Jagantiapi, Majanti Jantavas Tavitra, Jangamahas Tavavara, happy. He worships the Lord, pleases all living entities, all moving and non-moving beings are controlled by him. Thus, even the trees lamented, being completely attached to Shukadev, Tanmat Yataya. The trees, since they were facing him, called out in the form of echoes, O son. When a person is attached to something, he is said to be Tanmaya. Thus, Strimaya means a person who is attached to woman. This affection for a person resides in the mind of all living beings, like the attraction for the all-attractive deity of the Lord is not a material illusion. Thus, it is not a fault if Vyasa seemed to lose his sense of discrimination. This verse is quoted in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.28 to illustrate the first two types of subhadra. He has affection for the world, and the world has affection for him.
Okay, so one point that is being said over here is that as Vyasa was calling out to his son, so Shukdev immediately left the forest, and Vyasa was calling out, O Putra, he is calling out. And what he could hear? He could hear the echoes of the trees of the forest. So the trees were also calling out, O Putra. Why they were calling out? Because they were also feeling separation from Shukadev. Just as Vyasa was feeling separation from Shukadev, similarly, the trees were also feeling separation from Shukadev because they were also attached. Tanmayataya. Even the trees were attached to Shukadev. All living entities become attached to the pure devotee of the Lord. And he's quoting from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, or rather this example is quoted in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. You know where? Yes. Shubhadha. 6 characteristics of pure devotional service. Somebody remembers all the 6? What are they? Kleshagni, Shubhadha.
Sandrananda Visheshatma.
Okay, that's a little later. And what was the third one? The order also should be remembered. Yes, Moksha Lagutagrit, Sudullava, Sandrana Visheshatma, Sri Krishna Akarshini. Okay, so the Bhakti Shastra should not be forgotten. Okay, so it's not that we have finished that and then you keep it aside. No, It's something to be constantly revised. In fact, the Bhagavatam very much includes those Bhakti Shastras, and so they must be kept in mind. So in connection to Shubhadha, there are 4 characteristics of Shubhadha. Anybody remembers that? So the 4 characteristics of Shubhadha are Sarva Jagatam Prinanam, Anuraktata, Sadguna and Sukham. These are the 4 characteristics under Shubhadha. There are 4 characteristics of Shubhadha. So Sarva Jagatam Prinanam means
Everyone is attracted to.
yes, that's Anuraktata, attracts everyone. And Sarva Jagatam Prinanam means the entire world becomes dear to such a Vaishnav. Everyone becomes dear to a Vaishnav, and the Vaishnav attracts everyone because of his wonderful qualities. So here, Shukadeva Goswami, being a purified soul, of course at that point he was not a Vaishnav, but he was completely purified. And because he was completely purified, therefore even the trees, they also felt attachment to him, and they also felt separation as Shukadeva Goswami was going. So this is one understanding of the Putreti. So he was calling, so as he was calling out, Vyasa Sunum means the son of Vyasadeva. Now he gives another explanation of this. Okay, read.
There is another meaning. The tree as another form of
Shukadeva.
Tanmayatya, called out in ego. O son, to answer Vyasa, if I am your son, then you are also my son. Illusion is the cause of thinking. I am the father, you are the son. Who is the son of whom? Who is the father of whom? Enlightening Vyasa about this truth, why are you bewildered?
Bewildered.
For establishing attachment to Sukadeva Goswami, it is described that
He had entered.
that he had entered into the mind of living entity, Sarva Buddha Hidayam Muni, by the power of his yoga. That being so, let him also enter my heart and speaking the Bhagavatam through my mouth. He who can enter into the dul trees and pacific his father by answering back can also enter my heart and please the intellect of all the hearers by the Bhagavatam. Here is the rule that at the time of lecturing, other speaker of Bhagavatam should also meditate in this way.
So the other meaning is giving is, so as Vyasadeva is calling out to his son, so the trees are also calling out, "Oh my son." So Vyasadeva is calling out, "Oh my son." The trees are also calling out, "Oh my son." So what is the meaning? The meaning is, who is son, who is father? Because all these positions are temporary. This life somebody may be son, next life he becomes father, or even within the same life. For sometimes somebody is son, then he becomes father. So therefore, the Shukadev in the form of the trees is trying to instruct Vyasadeva. Why are you so attached to your son? After all these are material relationships. Why are you so attached? So that is, Shukadev through the trees is giving the message to Vyasadeva. Don't be so attached. So, it just reminds me of the pastime of Raghunandan Thakur and his father Mukunda Das. You remember?
Yes.
What happened?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, who is, he was, the little boy was he knew more of bhakti. His life exhibited.
Okay.
There. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asks, who is the father? Then the father says, Mukunda is my.
Mukunda says, Mukunda is the father.
Mukunda says it, yeah.
So anyways, so the point is that Raghunandan Thakur, you may have heard the pastime of how the Lord actually came to eat. As Raghunandan was begging the Lord to eat the offering. So then so later on when Mahaprabhu comes to their house, Mahaprabhu asks, who is father, who is son? So Mukunda says, Raghunandan is my father and I am his son because he is more spiritually elevated than me. Anyway, so the point here is the trees, they are telling Vyasadeva, actually, whose father, whose son? Why are you so attached? That is one point. And another point he says is that Shukadev, he had entered into the minds of all living entities, Sarva Bhuta Hridayam Munim, by the power of his yoga. So, the point is that the greatly purified souls, they can affect the hearts, they can affect the minds of all living entities. So therefore, here Sutta Goswami is praying to Shukadev, so that just as he has entered into the hearts, into the minds of all living entities, you please enter into my mouth and give me the words to speak. And therefore, Vishwanath Chakravarti is saying that here is the rule that at the time of lecturing, other speakers of Bhagavatam should also meditate in this way. So we are, before speaking the Bhagavatam, we are praying to the spiritual masters, to the acharyas. Why? For the same purpose. So that they empower us with the words to speak. Just like that was what even Srila Prabhupada, he prayed the same thing in his Markandeya Bhagavad Dharma. He said, I have no bhakti, I have no Vedanta, knowledge of Vedanta. You please give me the words by which the hearts of these people will be transformed. And later on we will see how even Shukadeva Goswami, before he begins to answer Parikshit Maharaj's questions, he also prays to the Lord in the same way, that you please enter into my words and decorate my words so that I can speak. So this is always the mood of a Vaishnav, and that is, he never thinks himself qualified. Rather, he always remains humble and begs for the mercy of the previous acharyas in order to be empowered to do the service. So, this is the implication of Putra, as the trees are also calling out. And then, Sutta Goswami is praising Shukadeva Goswami as the son of Vyasadeva, who, out of his great compassion, Karunaya, out of his causeless mercy, he is giving this knowledge by which, what will be the result of accepting this transcendental knowledge? Adhyatma Deepam. So this knowledge will act as Deepam, lights. Just like we pray, Om Ajnana Timirandasya. So this knowledge will act as the light by which one can Atita Shatam, one can cross over the Tamo Andham, the dark ocean of material existence. Samsarinam. So by receiving this knowledge, one can cross over the darkness of material existence. In this way, he is glorifying Shukadeva Goswami. So here, there is another word that is used here, Akila Shruti Saram. Shruti Saram means the cream of the Vedas. Or it said the Bhagavatam is the essence for those who relish with the ear. That is the other meaning. So there are two meanings of the Shruti Saram. One meaning, it is the Sara of the Shrutis, it is the essence, the cream of all the Vedas. The other meaning is it is the essence for those who relish with the ear. Alright? Yes, John.
Oh, it's that being, so let him also enter my heart. Who is praying this?
Sutta Goswami.
Sutta Goswami is praying.
Yes, this verse is being spoken by Sutta Goswami. No?
Okay.
He's praying for his spiritual master.
Yes.
Does that mean that it is an example that because Sukadev Goswami has been born liberated, he did not want to take a spiritual master?
Didn't want to take spiritual.
Master, a guru, because he left. Does that mean that under a certain exceptional occasion, one does not need a spiritual master?
Okay, that was immediately after his birth.
Yes.
But then, of course, then Vyasadeva eventually became a spiritual master.
Yes, but he...
So, it doesn't mean that he did not accept. That was at the time of his birth. At the time of his birth, he left. Maybe he would have voluntarily accepted a spiritual master also later on. But in any case, Vyasadeva became a spiritual master. But the principle of accepting a spiritual master applies to all. No one is an exception. If the Supreme Personality of Godhead accepts a spiritual master, then who is better than him? So therefore, Srila Prabhupada often quoted, Tad Vijnanartam Sarvaguru Eva Vigachet. It's a must. The principle of accepting the spiritual master applies to all, and therefore the Supreme Lord Himself sets the example.
Probably why does he leave in the first place then? So that he doesn't get entangled in that.
Yes, that was his fear, as a result of which he did not even come out of the womb because of fear of Maya, the material energy. And for that same purpose he left.
Didn't he hear the Bhagavatam when he was in the womb of his mother?
No, there's no reference to that.
No reference to that.
Okay. Fine. It seems I have mixed up the second and third
Yes,
verses.
that's why I was
Akhila
confused.
Shruti Sara, it came here.
It's the third verse.
Okay, let's recite the third verse anyways. Yasvanubhavam akhilashrutisāramekam adhyatmadīpam atititaśratam tamondam samsārinām karunayam puranabhuyyam tam vyāsasūnam upayāmi gurum munīnām. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him, Shuka, the spiritual master of all sages, the son of Vyasadeva, out of his great compassion for those great gross materialists who struggle to cross over the darkest regions of material existence, spoke this most confidential supplement to the cream of Vedic knowledge after having personally assimilated it by experience. But in any case, both the verses are glorifying Shukadeva Goswami. Here Srila Prabhupada in the second paragraph is talking about the samsarinam karuniyatha. So he's talking about the materialistic people who try to become happy in material life. He says everyone tries to make a permanent plan for happiness, but everyone is baffled by the laws of material nature. Therefore the materialistic world is called the darkest region of God's creation, tamo andham. Yet the unhappy materialist can get out of it simply by desiring to get out. And then he gives the example of the camel who tastes his own blood. Okay. Okay, fine.
You mentioned two meanings of the word Akhila.
Okay, now Shruti Sara.
Yes, Shruti Sara. Where is the second meaning? Essence of those who relish.
This is Vishnu Chakra.
Relish what?
With the ear. Okay. Text 4. You had a question, bro? You had a question? No.
If I may ask a question,